They say every old house has its secrets, but the one we bought on the outskirts of Blackwood Creek, it had an appetite. It was a steal, a sprawling Victorian relic that the realtor nervously called a fixer-upper with character. My wife, Clara, fell in love with its charm, the stained glass windows and the winding oak staircase. I was more skeptical, especially about the price. It was too good to be true. Our first week was idyllic. We painted walls, sanded floors, and dreamed of the family we'd raise within these walls. The strange things started subtly. A misplaced hammer. A door creaking open on its own. We chalked it up to the house settling, old drafts. But then came the whispers. Faint at first, like the rustle of leaves, carried on a non-existent breeze through the hallways at night. Clara heard them too. We'd lie in bed, frozen, straining our ears in the dark, trying to decipher the hushed, sibilant words that seemed to coil in the shadows just beyond our door. One evening, I was in the basement trying to figure out the ancient fuse box. The single bare bulb cast long, dancing shadows. That's when I saw it. Scratched into the damp stone of the foundation, almost hidden behind the water heater, was a series of names and dates. Dozens of them spanning over a century. The last name on the list was the Millers, dated just a year before we moved in. The family the realtor said had moved to another state. Below their name, a fresh, shallow scratch looked like the beginning of a new letter. A W, for Williams. Our name. A cold dread, heavy and suffocating, settled in my gut. This wasn't a list of previous owners. This was a ledger. That night the whispers were louder, more distinct. They weren't just random sounds anymore, they were calling for someone. Anna. The name echoed through the house, a mournful, desperate cry. We didn't know any Anna. Clara was terrified. We huddled together, the sound seeming to come from the walls themselves, from beneath the floorboards, from the very air we were breathing. The next day, I went to the town's historical society. The librarian, a woman with eyes that held a century of town secrets, grew pale when I mentioned our address. She led me to a dusty archive room and pulled out a brittle, leather-bound book of town records. As she turned the pages, a story of tragedy unfolded. Over 100 years ago, a family named the Vanderbilts built the house. They had a young daughter, Anna. One winter, she vanished from her bedroom without a trace. The town searched for weeks, but she was never found. Her parents, consumed by grief, wasted away within the house, their deaths recorded as natural causes, though whispers in the town suggested otherwise. But the story didn't end there. Every family that lived in that house afterward experienced a similar tragedy. A child would disappear or the entire family would vanish, leaving all their belongings behind. The Millers, the family before us, had a 10-year-old daughter. The librarian couldn't meet my eyes as she told me. She had disappeared from her bed one night. The parents moved away a week later, broken. The house, it seemed, took something. Or someone. It was always a child. We don't have children. A wave of relief washed over me, so potent it made me dizzy, but it was immediately replaced by a chilling thought. Why was the house whispering for Anna? And what did it want from us if we had no child to offer? The answer came that very night. The whispers for Anna had stopped. A new sound took their place. A soft, rhythmic scraping. Scrape. 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 It was coming from inside our bedroom closet. My heart hammered against my ribs. Clara was asleep, oblivious. I slipped out of bed, my feet cold on the wooden floor. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to grab Clara and get out. But a morbid, paralyzing curiosity held me fast. With a trembling hand, I reached for the closet doorknob. I pulled the door open. The scraping stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but darkness and the scent of old wood and mothballs. Then, from the very back of the closet, something moved. Two small points of light glinted in the blackness like animal eyes. They weren't eyes. They were reflections. Reflections on something wet. The points of light moved and the scraping sound returned. Closer this time. It was the sound of a fingernail dragging slowly, deliberately, across the wooden back wall of the closet. I fumbled for my phone. my fingers clumsy with fear, and turned on the flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, illuminating the back of the closet. My breath hitched in my throat. My blood ran cold. Scratched into the wood over and over again were two words. "Where is she?" And below the frantic, deeply gouged letters was a drawing, a crude, childish stick figure of a little girl. And next to it, a new, incomplete drawing, a stick figure of a woman with long, flowing hair. It looked just like Clara. The thing in the closet let out a low, guttural growl. The light from my phone flickered across a gaunt, pale face, its features twisted in a mask of eternal hunger and sorrow. Its eyes were hollow sockets, dark pits of despair. Its mouth opened in a silent scream, revealing rows of needle-thin teeth. It wasn't Anna. It was the thing that took Anna, and now it was drawing its next victim. It wasn't a child it wanted. It wanted a substitute. It wanted a mother for the child it had lost. I slammed the closet door shut and threw the bolt. I screamed for Clara to wake up. Heavy, frantic pounding began from inside the closet, shaking the entire doorframe. The wood splintered. The whispers started again, not in the walls, but right behind the door, a chorus of desperate, hungry voices all chanting a single word. Clara, Clara, Clara. We ran. We didn't grab anything. We fled into the night, the sound of the splintering door and the chorus of whispers chasing us down the driveway. We never went back. We left everything behind. Sometimes late at night when the wind howls just right, I think I can still hear it. A faint, mournful cry carried on the breeze, calling a name that isn't Anna and isn't Clara. It's calling a new name. The house is patient. It's always patient, and it's always hungry. So if you ever find a beautiful old house for a price that's too good to be true, run, and don't ever look back. Thank you so much for listening to my story tonight. If you enjoyed the chills, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark. Stay safe out there, and always check your closets.